Okay, I'll remind him. He won't be, I don't think he's not going to be here this morning. Ready? Okay. Ooh. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Faith Place Bible Institute, or shall I say Sunday School Experience. This is the last day of the series for August, and the subject matter is preparing your child for success in education. And that way they will be successful in any career choice that they choose. Our scripture is Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You know, I've heard this scripture so many times, and I've said it so many times, but, you know, this scripture can be referred to other things, but when people hear this or speak it, they're basically talking only about spiritual things. But what if we can take that further? In Faith Place Sunday School, we are always speaking about the importance of having a personal relationship with God. Like I say, however, what if you think of that scripture for more than spiritual, but to apply it for natural situations? We spoke about suggestions to build a good foundation for learning from early childhood, make learning fun as they start their learning and educational process, going to the museum, the libraries, and playing games, using puzzles, counting games, and naming colors of objects. Ideas used for building a love for learning started from pre-K through high school, prioritizing good study and sleep routines. If you apply that scripture to natural things, good morning, Evangelist Sibby. If you apply it for natural things, you're preparing your child for doing this, will prepare them for, give them a good foundation. When you speak it and prepare your child spiritually from that scripture, you're giving them a good foundation of spiritual life. This is giving them a good foundation for natural, getting the recommended hours of sleep per the age of your child, having a designated area for studying with all the necessary supplies, set times and days specifically for studying. Today we've gone through pre-K, kindergarten, grade school, high school. Now our focus is on college. Now, college isn't for everyone, just to be honest. That's what, but they also have trade schools or certificate programs where you can learn something viable and have a very good life with that. Proverbs 18:15, NASB, the mind of the discerning acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. In college, there is no set routine outside of the student's class schedule and the assigned syllabus. So when you have taught them to set times and have a good study life and schedule themselves for studying from the beginning, when it's time for them to go to college, that would already be ingrained in them. From the moment of acceptance, the school and the officials will consider your child, the student, to be an adult. You, as their parent, cannot go and check on them with their professors or the school. While they are in college, they will be entering a new world, facing everything different from their regular routine that started in kindergarten and continued through high school. It's completely different. I agree, Evangelist. Scripture is applied to everything in life, spiritually and naturally. Yes, I agree. Because sometimes, not sometimes, when I hear pastors speaking and saying things, I simply apply it to myself, all aspects of myself. I'm not one dimensional. So I apply it to, I search myself and I apply it to every aspect of myself. Yes, everything starts at home. Everything. That's why we want to give them something that they can show them that that foundation is important. It is important to have a foundation of routine, because when you go to college, it is completely open. You may not have classes some days. You might get through with classes at noon, whereas you used to being done with classes at 3 o'clock. There's so many things that happening all at once when if you go away to college, especially I'm speaking on as well. There's so many things that's going on, and it can vie for your attention. It can distract you. But when you have that foundation, that will help center you and prepare you for what's coming, what you're going to have to do. This is the point where it will help to fall back on the training they receive starting in early childhood. You follow the scripture of Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go and he will not depart from it. It's a foundation where they can fall back on how you raise them by showing them to reverence God as well as love and respect education, libraries, museum, and all the other tools that you use to prepare them for success in school and beyond. Because we want to prepare, you're preparing them for life. I had a friend who, co-worker, she says she had 4 kids, doing well. She says, I'm raising adults. And when you think about that, what kind of adult do you want your child to be? What kind of life that you want them to have? All of that comes from that foundation that you build with them, for them, showing them when they're young. Preparing a child for college success. It includes building strong academic skills, developing life skills like time management and financial literacy, encouraging exploration of interests and career paths well beyond the application process began. However, college is at another level than what was needed for elementary and high school. The students will need to take all the training and learn skills and build it on it to another level. Hosea 4:6a, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That is true. I said before, when you're in high school, maybe even before, but really when you're in high school, start thinking about what it is that you want to do in life, what career path you want to have. If you want to go into the sciences, start your high school years building up your sciences and math, because math goes along with science. Become very proficient in those areas. If you want to go into literacy, education, journalism, build up your writing skills. But I think everyone should have math. Everyone should know math. That is necessary, especially when you start earning money and you understand all the facets around it. Early academic foundation. Cultivate a love of learning from a young age by encouraging curiosity and exploration. Engage them in school early and make college a clear expectation. Strong study habits. That is very vital when they go away to college, or even if they don't go away. Study habits. Help your child develop good study habits, including time management, note-taking, and test-taking strategies. When you have, I didn't get these skills in grade school or high school. Things came naturally to me, so I was able to achieve what I needed without all of that. Of course, math. You have to practice math. And I loved math. So, but we looking to let your child be well-rounded. So everything has to be their foundation. When you think of a foundation, when they build a house, they dig the ditch, they pour in the cement, and they build up the walls that's going to hold up the house. That's a good foundation. Because if they don't, when I was in high school, I went to Carver, and around the science areas, the floor would sometimes feel wet. And I asked a teacher, why is that so? They said that when they built the foundation and they put the pillars down, they didn't take it to bedrock. So if they don't take it to bedrock, it's going to fall. Those pillars are going to keep falling down till they hit that foundation. So it's good to start when you're building something up. You have to make sure that the foundation is sturdy and set, because it's going to fall until it reaches that bottom, that foundation. Advanced coursework. Encourage participation in advanced placement or dual enrollment courses to prepare for college level work and potentially earning college credit. They didn't do, I had one AP class. There was only one AP class offered. But I had a lot of honors classes, but AP is where you can get the college credits and whatnot. I didn't learn all of that when I was in high school. I had some, how can I put this, bootleg counselors. So with your knowledge, if you learn all of this and know all this, you can help your child navigate through this. Standardized tests. Familiarize your child with the SAT, ACT, and other relevant standardized tests, and provide support for test preparation. Goal planning and academic planning. Help your child set realistic academic goals and create a plan to achieve them, involving them in the process and teaching them to break down larger goals into smaller steps. Because if they see, oh, I want to be whatever, and it can be daunting, especially when they go away to college and if they don't know anything about that whole process. I didn't. So when I started, I didn't know how it all worked. It's basically, because in grade school and high school, everything is set in place for you. In college, you set that pace. You pick the classes you want. You pick your schedule. You organize your day. And when there's a test come, because they consider you an adult. So when it's come, the teacher's not going to pull you to the side and say, is everything okay? Unless you have a good relationship with them. But more often than not, they won't. Because they have a lot of people to teach. They're not with you all day. They're one of your professors. So it is really all on you. Goal setting and academic planning. Help your child set realistic academic goals and create a plan to achieve them, involving them in the process and teaching them to break down, like I say, large things into small steps. What is it that you want to do in life? What's your career goals? That is important. I had a friend who loved acting, loved all the drama, but her mom suggested she go into accounting. Funny, those were her worst grades in accounting, but she became a good accountant. Something to fall back on, if whatever, that's something steady, she decided. Life skills independence. It's important to help teach your child to be self-reliant. Develop essential life skills, independence and self-care. Teach your child how to manage their own time, cook simple meals, do laundry, and handle basic hygiene. Financial literacy. Educate your child about budgeting, saving, managing personal finances, including understanding loans and scholarships. When I was in college, they said, they had one little card, and you fill out this one little card, and that one little card gave me 8 credit cards. 8. And that's where they wanted to stop that. They probably stopped that since, because they said a lot of students got into a lot of financial problems doing that. And they said they were setting them up for failure because, like I say, I filled out one card and got ended with 8 credit cards. They did. They got in a lot of trouble. Kids got in a lot of trouble with that. You did? Oh, that was one of the ones that was offered. I think it was like a gas card. I didn't have my driver's license at the time. I had Sears. Yeah, they think of that. Oh, free money, and a lot of kids. They said a lot of kids. They were blasting them because a lot of kids got in trouble like that. I had a Sears. They said it's hard to get a Sears card. I said, well, I got one for just filling out, signing my name on the card. Carson's, Visa. Like I said, I had I think it was an Amoco card. I didn't have a driver's license, but I had a gas card. So I think I even had a Discover card. But the Visa came in handy when I was low on tuition. I had to use that to pay installment tuition till financial aid kicked in, and I had a job. So that does help. Because budgeting, everyone wants, especially in your dorm, you want to fix up your dorm nice and pretty. And then after the first year or two, they want to go get an apartment. When they think, because in the dorms, they don't have to worry about cooking. And you only cooked in the dorm I was in. You only cooked Sunday dinner. They didn't offer Sunday dinner. So that was the only time and most people went out. Most people called in for pizza. I think I ate more pizza during that time in my life than combined since. Problem solving and self-advocacy. Empower your child to find solutions to their own challenges and to speak up for their needs, whether at home or with professors. I had a conversation with my mother one time. She says, oh my gosh, you're growing up. I said, what are you talking about? She says, usually you will come and ask, okay, what should I do? And because I was laughing at one of my friends after we did because you go away a week prior to class starts, because you have to take tests, you have to enroll into your classes, and a lot of things going on in that week. And after we did all of that, they informed her that she wasn't enrolled in any of her classes. She was dropped for some reason. And, we were laughing. Don't laugh, because I got the same notice one day. So I had to go through that whole process all over again. And I remember talking to my mother, and I was telling her all that I had to go through. She says, oh my gosh, now instead of you asking, what should I do, you're calling telling me what you did, what happened and what you did. So, Evangelist Sibby, you have adult children. What did you do to prepare them for success through their educational process? Time management. This is very important, because you hear a lot of people say, well, I had to write a paper, but I waited till the night before it was due and wrote the paper. I, I'm not going to say I didn't do that. I did have one professor, she would ask me, okay, what is your paper about? I said, I don't know. It hasn't come to me. I haven't been inspired. So and she said, oh, I forgot. Jesus don't work that way. I'm like, hey, I can't tell you. I have not come. Sometimes they'll be your best papers because you have to push yourself. Cooking and meal planning. Like I say, if you're in a dorm, this is nothing you have to worry about, except for whatever their requirement is. Equip them with basic cooking skills to manage their own meals, especially in the college setting. Now, I will tell you, more often than not, I was spoiled with good food, and my feelings got hurt when I went to college because sometimes, oh my gosh, it was seriously, this is it, and it was a lot of food. I felt like I was in high school because I remember going into entering with my tray and coming out with my tray empty, like, So yeah, teach them how and have something that they can have in their dorm room. Communication and social skills. This is what we were talking about when we had the battle, and I think it was a misconception that we were saying that technology is not good. No, learn everything, but also develop your social skills, because you see so many people who are so into tech and they void of social skills. It's like they're robots. Encourage healthy communication and social interaction, including the ability to advocate for themselves and build relationships. Because you see people in the same room texting each other when they can just have a conversation. I've seen that personally. Self-care and mental health. Normalize discussions about mental health and teach coping mechanisms for stress and anxiety. Therefore, do not, Matthew 6:34, therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. When I was in college, I think I was sophomore, and I saw the new freshman class coming in. And there was this one young woman, she was, it was around midterms. And things get real heavy around midterms and finals week. And it was just before, because it starts before. And I saw her leaving out the weekend prior to go home. I said, "You're going home now? Midterms are here." She said, I can't take it. I need to go home. She was so stressed out. It is a stressful time. Being away is a stressful time. But that's when we talk about building that foundation. They know not to wait till the last minute to study, because you're not going to retain all of that in one night. You're not going to retain the whole semester of information overnight. It's just not going to stick into your head. But when you teach them to have regular study hours and study time throughout that semester, it builds on them. And when they are sitting there taking a test, it's different than when they just had to cram all of that information in. I've done both. I can tell you the difference sitting there when you have taken that time and study throughout on a regular basis, and you sit there, take a test, and you know you're acing it. That is a different feeling than you thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot this. What is this? Oh, yikes. But then I had was it chemistry class? I think it was a chemistry class. That test was so big that I think we got halfway through by the end of the class. And teacher was trying to take it from me. I'm like, I'm not done. I'm not. But he took it with us, and he wrote it and finished it just before the bell rung. So he realized that it was too much, so he cut it in half. Otherwise, we all would have failed it. It was just too big. Problem solving and decision making. You are considered an adult when you go to college, so you will have to do this a lot. Encourage critical thinking and problem solving skills through various activities and real life scenarios. You know, I spoke about my work at DCFS, and I got a case from a young woman who was in college, and she was having problems, I think at that time, with financial aid. And we had several discussions with different options on what can be done. And I went to court, and they asked me, did you fix it for her? I said, no. And they were ready to blast me because I didn't fix it for her. This young woman was 20. And I told them, we discussed it many times. We discussed many options. And she will let me know which route she decides to go. Because at 20, I was trying to help her to have critical thinking and what her options are. Because if you do everything for them, even as they enter adulthood, you're handicapping them. They don't know how to do problem solving. They don't know how to do critical thinking and think of options that might not be available. And how to get what they need, how to decide what it is that they need. College exploration and application. Campus visits. Encourage visits to college campuses to get a feel for different environments and explore potential options. Career exploration. Help your child explore various career paths and connect their interests with potential majors. Something that you want to get in, because a lot of people are not thinking like they did back in the day, where you get a job and you're going to be there for 40, 50 years until you retire. They're looking at, and now you get a lot of these young folks that just want to go influencers. But if you want a career path, you have to build on it. Go with something that you're drawn to. I was pre-med when I first started, and I took a psych course. And I don't even remember how that happened. Next thing I know, I was majoring in psychology. I didn't want to necessarily work for mental health, so my degree is in industrial organizational psychology, but I ended up getting a job in mental health. And I truly loved it, so you never know. Guide your child through the college application process, including research schools, writing essays, and securing recommendations. Talk to people. If you as a parent never taken that route, talk to people who have. That's why I try to talk to, good morning, Carolyn Bell, a lot of people good morning, Mitzi, who have kids just starting off into going to college, because I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't get that. So help them talk to someone who's gone through that process, whether you've gone through that or not. More than one story, because a lot of different people have different experiences in college. Open communication. Maintain open and honest communication with your child through the college preparation process, addressing their concerns and anxieties. That open communication will have to continue throughout. Emotional support. Provide emotional support and encouragement, reminding them of their strengths and abilities. That's, like I said, that comes in handy because it can be very stressful, especially around, like I said, midterms and finals. The stress level is so thick, you can just feel it. It is so heavy, and it weighs down on you. Your role as a parent, be a supportive and guiding presence, but also allow your child to take ownership of their college journey and make their own decisions. Be their sounding board as they navigate through this process. Teach them to think about all possibilities. That's critical thinking. It's not just this. Open your mind to think about other things, and that will help them not only navigate through it, because like I say, I had a horrible counselor guidance counselor in high school, and I had a very biased one when I went to college. And that did not set me up for success. I ended up having to be my own counselor, guidance counselor. And it helped when I went to transfer to UIC. I worked at the admissions office. And we had it was one man who, he was so knowledgeable. I kept asking thousands of questions, constantly asking questions. And that helped me navigate through completing my education. Encourage your child to build relationships with teachers, counselors, and other mentors who can provide guidance and support. Because they won't know everything. They will not know everything. Achieve academic success, goal setting. Work with your child to set high but achievable goals, helping them break down tasks and understand the efforts required to reach them. And we get back to the study habits. When you set things up when they were little, and to have everything they need when they study, when they go away to college, they will continue that. That will continue. Encourage good study habits by creating a focused study environment and helping them develop effective note-taking and organizational skills. Support their curiosity by encouraging exploration of different interests, which can lead to fulfilling academic and extracurricular paths. When like I said, when I found out when I had to study, it either had to be completely quiet or so loud that all the conversations just morphed into a cacophony of just noise. But if I can hear this conversation over here or this conversation over there, it would distract me. So you had to figure out what works for you. When I had to write papers, sometimes I just put on classical music, and that would help me. But when I first went away and I had to, you stand up late studying because you're going to do some all-nighters. You stayed up, television went off at a certain time down there, and all you heard was that 700 Club was the only thing that was on. That was the only thing that would be on past a certain time before the TV. So sometimes you just had some, noise. Good morning, evangelist. So what worked with you, with your boys, and even with yourself when you started your educational path? Mm-hmm. Right. 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 Especially now with social media, that is, it's like you're in a battle for your attention. Mm-hmm. 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 That's why I was saying you have to know what works for you. Um, like I said, when I was studying, um, if I went to the library, I couldn't do library because one time I even had to ask the librarian to be quiet because they were. If I can hear your conversation, if I can pick out this conversation, I'm distracted. I can't get into it. And it's really funny. I can study on the L train on the way to school because everybody's talking. So everyone's just blending in once. I can just read. Or what I used to what I used to do was when I was at home, I would get up about 5 o'clock in the morning. Yes, when nothing is awake, and I would get at the table. Yes, I would get at the table, and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would have all my syllabus out, and for each class, and have everything set up, and I would do Saturday, and everybody slept in on Saturday mornings. So by the time they're getting up, I'm done for the week. I've done all my studying, and only thing if I have to write a paper or something, that's separate. But all the reading, I can get that out the way when everyone else is asleep, when everyone is asleep, and that worked for me because if you're in the dorm trying to find, if you're in your room, somebody knocking on your door. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. It mm-hmm. Right. That is your scripture. That is your scripture. Right. Right. It does. That's why when I started this weeks ago for even for pre-K and kindergarten and grade school, about setting that time, not only the space with everything that they need, but that prepares, and people don't realize when you start, it becomes a habit. When you start from day one and like, okay, this is your study area. This is, you have your pens, your pencils, you have everything that you need. And when you set this, like, okay, you set your time every day to do your homework, to do your studying. And when people don't realize that when you start it at an early age, it becomes habit. And then so, because when you go to college, you got to have that habit. You got because everything is not structured like high school or grade school. You can when you schedule your class. Because I remember some days I would have an early class, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock class. I'm home back in my dorm at 10, and I may not have to come back out until 12 or 1 o'clock for another class. And there are some days when you didn't have any class, or maybe just 1, 2 classes on some days. If you don't have that foundation, that habit, it will not. And I did not, because I think I didn't have to struggle with my academics, because you're going to do math, you're going to do the math, but I tell my truth. I don't know if I ever read this chemistry book when I was in high school, because every time I read that one paragraph, I would sleep. I was asleep, and I need to find me a chemistry book because, but then when I went to college and I took chemistry and I had to take these things, it was a different situation, because they even did it through us a monkey wrench. We couldn't use a calculator, we had to use a slide rule. So we're in class using this slide rule, especially during the test, and you're trying to hurry up. And so people don't realize, and this is why I wanted to bring this out, because we want to set our kids up for success. And when yeah, it is. It's not. I did it. I had to. Hmm. Right. 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 Exactly. That's why. That's why I did this, and I was saying that throughout this month. You have to prepare your child, because I don't think anybody has ever, or even asked anybody to help me with my homework. My mother told us, "You're in class, you better learn it, because it's on you." And when I came home, I did my homework, and sometimes I would do it before we done with school. And when I come home, like, okay, I did my homework. Um, and I did not learn to study because I didn't have to. Yeah. Right. It does. Right, right, right. And you still carrying everything on. Everything is carrying on. Good morning. Em. Everything, people don't realize that that foundation carries throughout your life what you learned and what you did as a child. Because if there was no, because kids need structure. If you didn't have structure growing up, if it was just chaos, you feel it and you carry it with you, and you don't know how to settle yourself. And when that studying or knowledge of how to study, or to sit there and build a habit of studying from your childhood, it carries throughout. Because going in college is not when you need to learn how to study. And that was me. And the first year was same old, same old. But then when things start getting even more, I'm not going to say difficult, because it wasn't that it was difficult, it was just so much. I had to sit down. I was like, okay. And it came on to me to, like I say, get up 5 o'clock, sit at that table once a week, and do all of my studying for every class. Like I would have everything set up. So, and I had to teach myself, okay. And it's a different experience when you're doing that and you prepared ahead of time than when you wait till the night before, a few nights before, and learn something real quick. When you do that continual throughout the whole semester, and you sitting there taking that test, it's a whole different mental experience. Because if you cram in it, it's not stuck. It's not stuck. Because sometimes as soon as you get up, like, okay, you forgot all of this, forgot. But when you continually go and you build on it and you build on it, even with your spiritual walk, when you study, when you first get saved, when you first get into church and you want to have that relationship, you need to build a foundation. You need to build a good foundation with the Lord and with the studying and understanding. I used to see my mother practically every day sitting there with her Bible, reading it. And I remember asking her, where do you start? Do you start at Genesis and go through? Do you start at the New Testament and go back? How do you do that? And she would say, start at the Gospels and get that, and then, but I have a read the Bible in 1 year Bible. I have one of those. And that helps me because you get Old Testament, New Testament, Proverbs, and Psalms for every day. And I like that because especially if you had that routine and you can learn that. And once it's like, oh my gosh, I read the whole Bible. And then and instead of saying, okay, I'm done, I continue to do it. That's part of my devotional. And that helps when you build your foundation. That's what we're talking about, building that foundation that is necessary for success. You said, Amber, that you did night school. So how did you become successful how did you put yourself to that place where you can be where you are as a master's in nursing? So that was your motivation to get to do what's necessary in school. Huh? Oh, she was like Kelly, beat them and they won't die. That's her favorite scripture. So yeah, because if it's something you have to, you always asking, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? You find yourself asking them a lot. And it makes them think, okay, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? And once it becomes definitive on what they want to do, then you have to, if they think of it in high school, if you figure like what you in high school, then especially if you early in high school, like, okay, this is what I want to do, then that's where you start the preparation. Like I said, if you're into sciences, take more science, because I wanted to go into the medical field. And so I took 4 years of math and 4 years of science. Didn't need it. I graduated with extra credit because I took classes that I wanted to take to help me to where I was going. And like I said, it wasn't until I took that psych course, oh, okay, this is interesting and fun. Psych. And well, they had different motivations. And I got so excited about when I was in my master's course, and I took, because I love testing. I love doing psych tests, psychological tests. I love doing those. And the first one, we had to use a lot of people guinea pigs. And our secretary, she said she would do it for me. And when I was scoring it, I got so excited because as I was scoring it, and they were saying English is not her first language. She's Puerto Rican. So I got so excited. I'm like, oh my God, that just set me up. That just set me up. I love testing, doing psych tests. And it's just, you bring so much and you learn so much about people when you're doing that. Because when I was doing my practicum for my master's, one of them, the doctor says, I want you to sit in on and observe it while he did a eval. And I just sat back, and you have to be very meticulous with your observation. And when he was done, he was scoring it. And he says, what were your observations? And when I told him my observations and what I thought, he showed me his scoring. I was on point. And that just excited me even more. I love that because you can learn so much about people in behavior just by observing. What made you choose nursing? Put something in you. Yeah, they do. You you never do. You do. Yeah, you do, and they're there because, like you say, your family, they have cutoff times so they can come, and the doctors are has certain times where they're coming, but the nurses are always there, and they catch things. You know, I've had when I was in teenager, I think I was like 14. I was in the hospital for asthma, and the nurses, they would say, "Well, was I 14 or older? I don't remember. I was, and so they would, what do you want?" I says, "I'm good." So they used to hang out in my room. All the nurses, because they would come, it's like, I had to teach this woman that I'm not a waitress. Like, get me this, give me that. So they would come and just hang out in my room with me and talk with me. And then they say, "Oh, you need some slippers. Let me go get you some slippers." They just wanted to, help me. And it's important to what cause, and that's a good reason to go into nursing, because you saw the good work that they were doing. And they're very valuable and valuable in this whole system. 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your cares, your anxiety on him because he cares for you. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instructions. Proverbs 1:7. The Bible talks about instructions and learning and knowledge and wisdom throughout it, and it is important um, because I said, God made this big, beautiful world, and He didn't intend for you to be in this one little bitty box. He wants you to expound on it and to grow and to build and to encourage someone, like someone helped you just by seeing the need, and you can continue on. And when I started, before I started with DCFS, I told someone, don't go DCFS. Do not go into DCFS. I had nothing but negative things about it. And I will tell you, when we had 14-week training, a 12-week, and then 2 weeks again, I would go back to my hotel room, and I tell my truth, my bed would be filled with job applications. I'm going through training, and I'm filling out all these job applications and sending them out every week. And even when I started getting cases, I would sit there, and they says, Kathy, when are you going to fix up your cubicle? I said, it is an illusion. I am not here. But right, mm-hmm. Right, right, mm-hmm. Right. But sometimes that's why we were talking about talking when you talk to kids about what is it you'd like to do, what is it you want to do. You can see what they navigate, but sometimes people need to see this, and this to wind up where they supposed to be. Everybody don't know. Like I say, I started out in pre-med. My mind, and would change my mind besides the psych course. I read a letter, a Dear Abby, and it says, it was a kid who wrote in. He says, he was 17. He says, I'm used to not seeing my mother. She was a doctor, and I thought, I want kids. I don't want anybody else raising my kids. Because I had a friend who was in dental school, and she had 2 boys, and then she had another one while she was in dental school. And she admitted her niece or somebody was basically taking care of a child Monday, most through the week. And she says, I don't like my kid because somebody else is raising them. Somebody else is putting into them what what that person was. So she didn't put onto her kids. So that is why it's good to talk with your kids and start that foundation and build it up from there. Right, right. It is, yeah, for your children. Hmm. Right, That is true. Yes. They picking up their ways. Mhm. Yes. Hmm. Right. Right. Have your values. Yes. Right. And she did that. And she says, I don't like my kids, but you do. You took that time because the first 3 years of their life, they learn so much. Their personality is coming in. We're late. And I just want to thank you all for this series. And I think it is important because we as Black people have always had to fight for the life and success that we wanted. They're putting another foot down on us. And I want to make sure that our kids are given everything they need because they want to get rid of education. They want to get rid of everything so that, oh, I have a third grade education. The devil's a lie. Give them everything that they need so that they will be successful and have the life that they want, spiritually as well as naturally. Thank you all, and I have a blessed day. Oh, 71st and Stewart, 10 o'clock. You a worship experience you would never forget. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.